This position is about a young journalist who has just now moved back to his hometown, and he's designed to be a sports reporter for his hometown news station. So he's applying for jobs, and he sees that there's an opening available, and so after applying for the position, he doesn't hear anything. So he makes several calls and trips to the news station, and it doesn't hear anything until one day he receives that text from the news director, Mr. Simon, who's played by Daryl Williams. He meets with him, and the news director tells him that he's overqualified for the position, and that they've already hired internally for that position. So he decides to accept what they have and work his way up. And in the grand scheme of things don't happen the way he expects it to happen, and a whole bunch of mess happens, and he's just dissatisfied with the process, and he just decides to resign and take his talents elsewhere. I really want to produce this position because it highlights so many of the negatives that really happen in the field of journalism, sports journalism, or many different areas of journalism. So many different negatives. You have racism, career prejudice, jealousy. So many different aspects that involve negativity in this field. And it just really highlights different things that you could experience, or a journalist could experience. So these are basically the things that I highlighted in my film is what I experienced, and it's a whole lot more than that goes on behind the scenes that journalists may never even hear or know about. But it's just something that they should really keep their eyes open and just understand that these things can really happen. So you just have to be proactive, stay on top of your game, and just be in the know about what's going on. Really understand the nature of the business behind the scene. The development stages of this position was long, and it's my fault because I drug it out way longer than I should have. It's actually the story was actually in my head for about 2 years, and it just stayed there because I'm more of an actor. I'm not a writer. But I've always heard that the money is where the writing is where the money is. So I said, well, let me just try to do a little something, and I'll see where it goes. So I started out as a little skit. It was maybe a 5-minute skit, but then after reading it, I was leaving out so many details that it really didn't make sense. I really wasn't expressing the focal point of. I wasn't really showing the impact of what I experienced. So I decided, well, let me just add more details to it to make it all make sense. And so after I was adding detail after detail, and even that took some time because I had to keep going back and adding things over time because so much had happened, and it would all hit me at different times. And so after about 6 months or so, after I was looking at the pages, like, wow, look, I don't have a script. This is an actual film. So I was like, well, this is what it is. So after reading over everything and deciding, well, I have to get a cast together. Well, I decided I wanted my film to be mainly composed of Mississippi actors. I'm from Mississippi, so I wanted to really put Mississippi on the map as far as local filmmaking. So it was the aspect of where am I going to find actors. So I put out a casting call through social media, and see who reached out. I actually had more than I actually thought would reach out, but mostly they were really responding, contacting about the same positions. So I was like, well, I might as well going to need more positions. So after I altered my casting call and got rid of the positions that I had already filled, and had to get some more people involved, and I reached out to some more people, and most of my cast members that I already had. Martin Charles, he knew of some people. Katira, she knew about some people, and just contacting and communicating with them to see who do you all know that fits these roles. And when they gave me their information, I reached out to those people and I had the casting field. Then after that, it was just all about finding a location. I initially had a location, but that fell through at the last minute. Just an unfortunate event. But after speaking with one of my cast members, Greg Kennedy, he asked me to reach out to my church. So I reached out to them, and my pastor at Life Church, he was more than willing to allow me to do it. So I organized everything and shot everything there, and now that process itself took 2 more years. It took a little bit longer, but I think that's the only downfall, because I'm not really a patient person. I'm just really more like, I just want to get this thing done, and I didn't really think it was going to take 2 years to shoot this. But I started off with just the 2 people scene with Greg and Raj, and then after that took most of the days to shoot that. And then I was like, well, the next thing is I'm going to have to shoot the newsroom scene, which that's like 4 people. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to try to shoot this thing by myself, because this was all just really a skeleton crew. The 2 people scene was myself and Edward Rashad Smith as the assistant director and co-DP, and the newsroom scene was really just myself. So there's no way I'm going to try to pull this off by myself. But after 2 years, I'm like, look, if I have to do it by myself, I just have to do it by myself. So I did it. The cast, they were more than patient, and after about a 8, 9, 10 hour day, maybe 12, we got it done. So yeah, it was a process, but we got it done. To God be the glory.
Well, Miss Tracy's been giving me your resumes, and after really looking at them, you're overqualified to work here. So I have to ask, why are you so anxious to work here? My name is Daryl Williams, and I play Mr. Simon in this picture. This guy's sort of a cynical guy with a sinister attitude about how he's going to get where he wants to get in life from where he is now. He's really a nasty person. He's the kind of guy he'll smile with a very big warm smile while he's sticking you in the back with a sheath. Pretty nasty guy. Well, I would think that he's probably nothing like me. I consider myself a pretty decent fellow. This guy's 180 degrees away from me. Nothing like him. Getting into the character was really no different from getting into any character of anybody who's not like you are, or like in this case, like I am. But him being the nasty kind of guy he is, it was a little bit difficult for me to envision being like him. So it took a little bit of a stretch for me. It was a stretch. I thought it was a pretty nice story about a young man who was attempting to get to a place in his life, a dream that he'd always had about being a broadcaster, and he was doing it the right way. He'd gone to college and got his degrees and so on and so forth, and he was trying to do the right thing, and he was working hard and had been promised that he would get a shot at this, and by this same station manager at this TV show, my character. And so it's the kind of story that actually happens every day. And in fact, this story is based on a true story, and it's so typical. And so it was really a nice script. I liked it. I thought it would be good to bring to the screen a show that shows the way things really are in the business world. I mean, we get these this stuff on TV all the time, but I just felt like this right here needed to be shown, needed to be told. And I was attracted to it for that reason.
Mr. Simon's character was not a very nice person. He was, to put it nicely, he was a closet racist. Even though he knew Ken Carter was overqualified for the position, he really didn't want to give him an opportunity because he was a black man, so he just gave him the runaround by telling him to first go shoot some stuff and all this other stuff, knowing the whole time he had already hired 2 other people. It was a racist situation where both people who got hired, they were known by people of the Caucasian race, which was really my situation. So it was unfortunate because the person who knew Ken Carter's character was a black man. So it was it was a racist twist to it, but that's how the story unfolded. And it was just like I said, it was something that does happen in today's corporate world. Even if you are qualified, they do look at your race. But everybody in the station knew it, and that's why nobody really liked Mr. Simon, because they really knew how he is. They knew his personality and how ugly and evil his heart is. Mr. Simon was not a nice person, but Mr. Darryl is really a nice person. So I kind of call his role pulling off the Denzel Washington in Training Day movie. Never known Denzel to do a film where he was portraying a bad guy, but he did, and it was an Oscar performance. Well, it was the same thing for Mr. Darryl. He did a phenomenal job playing a bad person. So I love working with him. He's somebody who has a lot of experience when it comes to being in front of camera, and he offered a lot of his set wisdom and guidance. So it was somebody that I was glad could be involved in the film, and he really brought a great element to it.
What up? Guys, gals, I'd like you to meet Justin. He is going to be doing sports for us.
I would describe Ethan as very energetic, very egotistical. Okay, maybe a little energetic, but I'm definitely not egotistical. Before I got into film work, I actually job shadowed on the local news channel. And, well, I kind of used that to kind of fuel this character. But I also listened to Dirty Laundry by Don Henley on the way up there, so that helped it get into the character a lot, too. I could tell it was a very personal project for Kinsley. It kind of caught my eye, and I was like, I really want to do this. But eventually I got selected for the role, and I was really excited about it. Just the experience and to get to meet new people. Kinsley seems like a very bright guy, and seems like he's got a bright career ahead of him, and I got to meet him and a bunch of other actors who were awesome.
Ethan was the weatherman, full of energy, corny. Justin knew Ethan from college years, so that's how he was introduced. And just like Catherine, most of the people, or most of the reporters, they didn't really care for Ethan too much.
Okay, well, I figured it would be good to bring him up and meet everybody.
I enjoyed working with Will. Great guy, great dancer, by the way. Him and Martin, by the way, were great dancers. But it was great working with him. He's one that was more than willing to to help and do whatever he needed to do to portray the role and look like a weatherman.
Okay, what's going on? Quincy? Destiny? Oh, come on, someone tell me something.
Okay. But you promised not to tell us so.
You have my word.
Here we go.
Oh, shut up, Quincy. All right, talk to me, girl.
Well, did you all hear about Austin?
Wait, Austin, what happened?
Let's just say you won't be seeing him around here anymore. Another unknown mystery around here. I'm Adrienne Evans, and I played the role of Destiny. The character of Destiny, she's very messy, she's sarcastic. So I guess you're Adam's replacement.
guess so.
She likes being the person to give out the news before anybody have a chance to spread the news. Well, did y'all hear about Austin?
Austin? What happened?
Let's just say you won't be seeing him around here anymore. And that's just the type of person she is in this film. I think the role of Destiny is the opposite from my character. My personality is very friendly. I like talking to other people. I'm not sarcastic. Actually, I hate people that are sarcastic. So the role for Destiny is definitely different than my real personality. It wasn't easy, but it also wasn't hard. I just thought about people that I've been around that's messy and that likes to start mess and that likes to gossip about other people. And so with this role, I just thought about them when saying my lines. And so it kind of helped me to kind of focus and getting into character of being this messy person. I love the script. The script wasn't long, it was short. I went over my lines. I did not struggle with any getting into role or anything that Kinsley put in the lines for me. I didn't struggle over the lines. The script was easy. It was easy for me to kind of find out what the setting was, what my character, what I needed to do. And so getting into my role and character for Destiny wasn't hard at all. I actually enjoyed the lines.
Adrienne Michelle Clarke, she portrayed the role of Destiny in this position, and her role was the messy reporter. She always knew the scoop about everything before everybody else in the newsroom knew what was going on. So it was just having that role was mandatory to bring the whole drama element to the film. Adrienne nailed it. Oscar performance.
How's your day, son?
I've had better.
Oh, well. We all have.
Mr. Simon hired somebody else for the position I applied and perfectly qualified for. It was the perfect position for me. The perfect opportunity to do what I love in my hometown. It was the only reason I wanted to work there.
Well, see, seniority and promote from within. That's the name of the game.
What's that supposed to mean?
That's what employers do. They open up the position, look at all of the applicants, see who's got the most seniority, and give it to them.
Well, this employer must have a different policy.
How so?
Because they didn't promote from within.
What they do?
He hired externally.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the guys never even worked at a real news station.
Mercy. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Who's gonna be the leader? Provide direction. That kind of move makes me question Simon's judgment. Especially on a move like that.
And I play the role of Ken Carter's dad, a very compassionate man, soft-spoken, and one whose main job is to keep Ken calm and keep Ken going forward and not let him just blow his top. More than anything, just try and keep him on the track so that he can get to his full potential. I think it matches it quite a bit because the filmmaker, Kinsley, wrote this in, is what he told me, because of the way we talked. I didn't know I was being interviewed for a part in this film when he was asking me a lot of questions. I think he just knew that I would be honest with him about some of the things that he was saying, and apparently liked what I was saying in real life, and decided to bring that to this particular project. And I call him the filmmaker, if I can refer to him as that, and he is one, he's always been one. I've called him that for a long time. So when you refer to somebody as a filmmaker, they're always looking at how they can put you in a film. So that's what he did. It must be me. It must be the way that I maybe let him break the line to get out of the movie, get off set a little quicker, or maybe we sat down and ate and talked about my upbringing or his upbringing. I always had compassion with him because he had to drive from New Orleans to Laurel, Mississippi sometimes just to get back home. And he must have picked out some things that he liked about me. We always talked about my family. I always talked about my boys. And, when you refer to somebody as a filmmaker, it make him a little chesty. He sticks his chest out about that all the time. So I guess it was easy for him to gather up his thoughts and put me in the film.
Something wrong with something?
He can't be serious.
What's going on?
This man is asking me to train the new guy.
Who, Simon?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Simon is asking you to train the new guy.
Yes.
What kind of business y'all running around here?
It's some bullshit.
Control your tongue, son. See, you ain't never gonna be grown meat. You understand?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Dad. It's just, I don't get how I'm not qualified enough for this position. But still, I'm qualified enough to train somebody who has no experience. It just ain't right.
Look at me, son. Look at me. I know you're upset. You have the right to be. You also have the right to talk about it. Tell them how you feel. Be professional. But express your displeasure with the process. I mean, any manager, leader, or director in their right mind should understand how you can be upset. But they don't care. So at the end of the day, Ken has to do what's best for Ken. You gotta do what's best for you, because this year's LA. Handle your business, son.
Thought he was right on time when he gave me the script and wanted me to be this compassionate guy that would calm his son down, because he was kind of pissed off about not getting that position. And for me to let him know that this is just one of many things that you may get pissed off about, son, but you can't let this tie you down in any kind of way. We got to keep moving.
Mr. Simon.
Yeah.
I have a moment with you, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to discuss my displeasure about the hiring process for the sports reporter position.
Ken, I already know where you're going with this, and I'd like to explain.
Well, since I'm coming to you, I feel like it's only right that I tell you how I feel.
Okay, I'm listening.
I'm not even sure why I was even considered for this position. I mean, you knew I qualified for the position. Plus, I was already in-house. Instead, you chose to hire candidates, one with little and one with no prior broadcast experience. What's even worse and more messed up is that one submitted a type of demo, the same one I showed you from his college years. The same work, no update needed. But what's even worse than that is, on top of that, you have the audacity to ask me to train one of these people to do the same type of job that I was qualified for and that I'm available and here to do. But what really pissed me off is the fact that you lied to me. You knew that I was already wanting this position. You knew that the position had been filled, yet you still chose to tell me that you were reviewing resumes. Am I correct? Ken Carter
character. He's somebody who is, like most people, looking to get his start, prove himself, and throughout the process of doing such things, like everyday people, like most people, he experiences obstacles, but not just normal obstacles, obstacles that are intended or seem intentional for hindering him to reach that level that he's looking for and trying to achieve. So his character, you know, he's strong-willed, he knows what he wants, but more importantly, or most importantly, he's able to see that which is hindering him, and he's not afraid to call it out for what it is. So, a very strong-willed guy. They were just as adaptive and professional as Kinsley and myself are. They were very convincing in their roles, and because of that, in their roles, it made it easier for me to be able to fall and form into Ken Carter, because a lot of the things that happen, once again, a lot of things that happen, I have experienced, and some of the things were in very similar of the same content. And so, with that being said, working with those gentlemen, I mean, very professional, would love to work with them again. I believe they portrayed their roles just as well as I portrayed mine. My personality, it matched up, in my opinion, very similar to Ken's personality. He took a lot, he dealt with a lot, but he didn't let that stop him. He called it out for what it is, and I do the same thing. As the slang term says, call a spade a spade. So I think our personalities matched up. When I read the script, I related to it because I had been there on a former job that I had. So when it came to getting into the role, some personal feelings did come into play, to be honest. I was honestly pulling out the box of my own experience in order to get into the role of this character, especially when it came to the frustration. Of when he knew that something that was meant for him was being taken from him, and he worked hard to get it. I know what that feels like. So getting into this character, I was pulling out of my own box of emotions for it. I was intrigued because even though you know this kind of thing happens, you don't hear many people telling a story about it. So I was really intrigued whenever I read over the script and I was reading the emotions that had been put into it. To be honest, when I read over it, a part of me was like, this sounds like it could be somebody's life story. Even though I didn't know that the producer of this script, this was something that happened to him. But when I read over, I was like, this could literally be somebody's life. Like, hell, it could be my life story, because once again, I've experienced something like that. So I was intrigued.
Working with Rosh was really good. I really don't believe I would have found someone who favored me as much as he did. But just being with him on set, his professionalism, he's not a stranger to the film industry at all. So just him having that set etiquette that's needed to, be professional, so we could, get the scenes done with the limited time and limited resources that we had was paramount to making this film what it was. I felt like Rosh really embraced the role of Ken Carter, him being the main character. I mean, it was a role that really had to be taken seriously, and one that had to be embraced, and she had to really bring light to it. And so I really believe that Rosh did that in the best that it could be done. David Neely took on the role of Quincy in the film. And just to point out, David, this is a guy who came in clutch at the last minute. I mean, had a guy who was supposed to, someone else who was supposed to fill the role, but at the last minute, you know, they didn't come through. So Martin Charles had called and told me about David, and I said, hey, get him on set. We need him. So I think he must have drove from Hattiesburg to Laurel in like 30 minutes, if sooner. But he was great. I mean, he had to get him caught up on the fly, but you know, he put the script in front of his laptop and he just read from there, and it was smooth sailing. But he played it off well. He was the disgruntled production assistant, really didn't like his job, really didn't like being there. He just, you know, like most people on the job, they just want a paycheck. But David did great. He came in clutch. So David Neely, you're a soldier. Greg Kennedy, who portrayed Ken Carter's dad, was a guy that I shared film sets with many times in New Orleans. He played the role quite well. I mean, he brought that authoritative father figure to the role, which is, you know, what, you know, most young men need in their career. They need that father figure that's going to back them in their career, who's going to give them guidance and leadership, you know, and that's what Ken Carter needed. And I think that Greg's character of his father really benefited him, you know, in that aspect of the film. And Julie Robertson was the receptionist in the film. She played Miss Tracy. She was the welcoming face or welcoming presence for Ken Carter. And I just felt she would be a great person for that role because she and I worked together for several years. And just her warming presence and her great personality was almost as pretty much like a receptionist. So, and you know, she had never been an actor. She has no background in theatrical acting. So I just thought it would be neat to have someone involved who doesn't have an acting background, but you know, portraying it's not a large role, but it's a very impactful role. So I thought everything worked out great. It was really good. She did a great job. A lot of humor. She brought a lot of humor to the set. It was really funny. I enjoyed working with it. And her and Rosh together, it was like a great 1-2 tandem. I mean, it was a natural flow in their scene when Rosh is coming to the news station for the first and second time. It was funny because, you know, the first time she's like, hey, how are you? And she sees his resume and like, wow. And then when he comes back again, she's like, he still hasn't contacted you? Like, after seeing your resume, he still hasn't reached out to you yet? But it was great. I enjoyed working with her. She took well to direction. That was one thing that really blew my mind about her. It was something new. It was a new atmosphere, but she took well to direction, did exactly as she was asked, and it was great. She was great to work with on set. Catherine Blythe Oakley was the actor who portrayed the role of Kate, and she was another actor who came in, you know, clutch for me. I actually didn't know that she came all the way from Alabama to be in my film. So when she told me that the morning of the shoot, I was mind blown. Like, for her to esteem my project that much, to drive that far, I mean, it really put my heart in a special place.
Hey guys.
Adam will be working in sports. He and I went to the same college, so I'm glad to have a familiar face around here. Okay, well, I'm glad I got to meet y'all. I'm gonna edit my package, and Adam, I'll be at my desk.
She played her role well. She was like the nerdy reporter that nobody really liked, really geeky. And you could tell in the scene where she introduced Adam, like, nobody really spoke to her. They didn't really want to speak to her. So she just played that role, and it was a role that I really want to also depict along with the other types of characters and personalities that I had depicted in the film.
Hey, Adam. Ken.
Nice to meet you, Ken.
Hey, what station did you come from?
I actually just graduated college, so this is my first station.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
Same here.
Buchanan Evans, he portrayed the role of Adam, who was the newly hired sports reporter. He was the reporter that Ken Carter initially met. So when he saw that this guy was the Caucasian sports reporter, Ken Carter thought surely that I'm going to be the other black reporter who's going to bring diversity to this sports reporter position, which is what, most stations, usually do.
Okay, don't know what you mean by that, Quincy. So, where's the other piece to our party?
You know.
Okay, it really sounds like you guys know some breaking news on the horizon. Alright, what's going on? Quincy? Destiny? Oh, come on, someone tell me something.
The role of Tira was played by Katira Banks. Tira's character was the opposite of Destiny. While Destiny had a scoop about everything, Tira was always nosy, wanted to know what was going on. So in the film, Tira and Destiny were the best of friends. Martin Charles, he portrayed Justin, who was the newly hired sports reporter. I worked with Martin on a student-based film several years ago, and I knew that I wanted to work with him in an acting capacity. Unfortunately, this wasn't that type of situation, but I knew that I wanted to have him as he portrayed the guy that, I was casting for. So I just really wanted to have his character involved. And what was so funny was in the scene, Ken Carter thought he was going to be the black reporter just to make it to give some diversity to the sports reporter position. So when he sees this guy, like, wait, well, who was this guy? I thought I was going to be the black guy for the sports reporter position. So it was kind of, that just added chaos to the whole scenario. But yeah, I love working with Will. Always a great guy, very humorous, very versatile when it comes to acting. So he's somebody that I knew I wanted the opportunity to work with again. Edward Rashad Smith was my assistant director and co-DP. Working with him was just great, and I knew that when I was going to make this film, I knew I wanted him to be involved. I mean, we're family, and he's someone who's been working in the film industry way longer than I have. He's worked in front of camera, behind camera, and it was just, I knew that I wanted him on set, to someone that I could really just gain wisdom and knowledge from, being behind the scenes or behind the camera, and him just sharing his wisdom, knowledge with me was just great. And when I talk about equipment, this guy had so much equipment, it was crazy. I'm like, is there anything that you do not have? I mean, just in a lot of the equipment that I have never worked before. Keep in mind, this is my first time being behind camera in a film aspect. I've done news, but film is a whole different animal. And so just seeing how he operates, how he works with the actors, and using equipment, it was a great learning experience. I can't thank him enough for even volunteering his time, because he's a very busy person. I mean, he gets around. He's done some stuff. So the fact that he was willing to take time out and even work with family, that was a blessing in itself. So I can't thank him enough for taking time out to just help me and bless me with the wisdom and knowledge that he has to just help make my film great. I mean, he primarily worked on this two-person scene with me, with Raj and Greg, and their scene. But just I learned a lot in seeing his interaction and how he did a lot of things. So when I got to the newsroom scene, it really helped me a lot. So just picking his brain, asking so many questions, I probably got on his nerves, but I mean, he was very patient, and he was more than willing to help me and guide me, and just fill my brain with so much knowledge and information that I would need to make my newsroom scene successful. April Jackson was the editor for this position, and I was so blessed to have her to be a part of this project in that capacity. My company, Scenic Productions LLC, we were the production company for her YouTube web series, The Spotlight with April J. And seeing her work ethic in editing her own product, I just knew that I had to have her on board to edit my film. And I have to say, I was amazed by the dedication that she showed toward my project. I mean, just when you have someone who has just a keen eye for detail, that makes it even more better. A lot of times we would stay up late at night editing, and she would point out things in my clips that I didn't even realize, and I was like, how am I the one who filmed this but didn't even notice that? And even just some of the things, there's a lot going on. I mean, keep in mind, I was the only one who filmed this, so a lot of things that went over my head, or just things just slipped through the cracks, and I just didn't notice on the screen. And she pointed it out, and just the way that she just made it so, it made it flow. It was so perfect. And just having that type of skill and someone with that type of attention to detail, that's really hard to find. So I was blessed overall just to have her a part of the project. My son Joshua, just having him as a production assistant on set that was a special moment for me. He already loves working with cameras and taking pictures and filming things, and just having him involved in the aspect that he was, it was beyond amazing. And he loved being on set. He loved interacting with the actors, and it was just great.
To see somebody work as hard as Kinsley did, to see somebody to be as dedicated, even when he thought or felt or it seemed like everything wouldn't fall into place, he was very quick on his toes to be able to adjust, adapt, and find a new avenue to make it work. So, excuse me, that type of drive and dedication was very inspiring to see. It was just a great experience, to see how he pulled all that together with little to no help doing so.
Oh, he's a really principled guy, real nice fellow, easygoing, laid back, just he was easy to work for, very easy to work for. Oh, I liked his directing style. He trusted his actors. He didn't interfere with what they were trying to do. He picked, in my opinion, the people he thought would probably do a good job for the individual characters that they were playing. And I think he just, I like the way he just let us do what we do. Very laid back. I like that.
I enjoyed working with Kinsley on this film. He's very outgoing, and like I said, he's very patient. If anybody has an idea or a question, he's open to hear it. And I didn't have any problems working with him. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed working with Kinsley, and I'm excited about the new projects that he has coming up. When Kinsley contacted me and said that he wanted me to play a role, it didn't matter what role he wanted me to play. I was excited to be a part of his film, and because he asked, I didn't want to disappoint. And plus, I enjoy acting, and this role really took me out of my comfort zone. Kinsley is a very outgoing person. His personality is just wonderful. He enjoys working with other people. He's very patient. He wears many hats. I gotta say, him being the writer and the director, he really had his hands full that day. I love his directing style. Like I said, he has patience with people, so if anybody make a mistake on set, or if anybody have a question, or if anybody have an idea, he was always open to kind of get their idea.
He's a swell guy because he works with you. He gives you an idea of what he wants, and that's so hard to find with a good director.
He did a big job in it. I didn't know he was prepping me for this film all of the time, asking me those questions. He was asking me those soft questions about, have I ever whooped my boy? You know, do y'all have any fights now that you guys are older? And he did all of the right things to make sure he got the right guy for this. I've been knowing Kingsley for such a long time. We've done so many different films. NCIS, Queen Sugar, Niecy Nash's film. We did a lot of stuff together, and we never did a whole lot of speaking roles. We were usually, you call them, we weren't doing acting, we were just reacting. We weren't actors, we were reactors. And we wanted to be actors. So, because we always wanted to do some speaking parts, when he brought me the script and said, Greg, I've written you in, I was excited about it. So excited that I didn't care if I had to drive to Laurel, Mississippi and back home just to get a taste of what he does all the time. You know, drive to Laurel, drive back home. So I drove from New Orleans up there to do it, and it was a lot of fun. This is my first time being in one of his films, but we did a feature film together called Free State of Jones, and our character was Maroon. Those were the guys who ran away slaves, ran away to the woods. We stayed out in the woods. Matthew McConaughey was in it. And even back in 2016 when we did the film, he always talked about the film that he's going to do. And apparently he latched me on. I didn't change very much from, I think I called him a filmmaker back then and been calling him one ever since. So filmmaking is not for everybody, and I'm pretty sure that he is really getting a stomach and a brain full of it right now, putting premieres together for this one.
The most unique thing about this cast is I had no prior knowledge about most of these actors. For me to have an all-star cast like I did, and for them to come together and be willing to go through the fire with me to help make my project amazing, I mean, that was truly, that was a work of God. That was all God. When you're starting from the bottom of the totem pole and you're trying to work your way up, you have to find those people who have the same mission in mind as you do. They want to grow with you, and the fact that they really wanted to grow with me, that really meant a lot. And I mean, God worked all this out, and I mean, it just turned out great.